All right, let's get session started. Good evening or good morning. Welcome to attend today's special session to be provided by Eric Sim on Asia's high demand for Chinese-speaking finance professionals from North America. Before I introduce Eric, our speaker today, let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Wei Wang, Professor of Finance at the Smith School of Business. I'm also the director for the Queen's Master of Finance in Beijing program. I've been faculty at the Smith School for now about almost 14 years. And it's my truly pleasure to host this session with our guest speaker, our guest lecturer actually at the Smith School of Business, Mr. Eric Sim. Now, Eric is, I'll say, a thought leader in many areas. He worked as an investment banker before. He was actually managing director at the UBS investment banking in Hong Kong. And he's a key opinion leader on LinkedIn. And also he holds the title of CFA. And most excitingly, his recent book, Small Actions, Leading Your Career to Big Success, has been just published. So as a token appreciation, I will just speak to that later in a moment. We'll actually give everybody attending to this session will get a free raffle ticket. We'll do a random draw at the end of this session. So you have a chance of getting the brand new book by Eric Sim. In addition, I also would like to, the program office actually would like to provide a free book of my own as well as appreciation of your attendance. And the draw will be announced at the end of today's session. Now, before Eric starts his session, I want just to briefly mention the MFin Beijing program. As probably some of you attending today already know about this program. This was started in 2013, and it now it's running for 8 years. So basically, you can spend a year studying in Beijing, getting a Queen's Master of Finance degree. It's a very exciting program for many Canadians and the Chinese as well. To spend a year, in a very exciting city, Beijing, while working and also getting your finance master degree. So let me take no further time, but turn this to Eric. So Eric, you're there?
Thank you, Professor Wang, for introducing me and giving me this opportunity to come and speak with students as well as professionals who are keen to work in Asia.
All right, okay. Thanks so much for joining us today. And just before we get started formally, I want to say that we have actually many people attending today. And if you have any questions, we'll have some Q&A session at the end. But please feel free to type up your question using chat function. I'll try to cover as many as I can, but of course, given the time limit, we may not be able to cover them all. But let me just turn now the mic to Eric. Let's get started right away.
All right, let's begin. Before that, I'm typing PPP for Professor Wang. PPP is like clapping, is the sound of clapping. Since you cannot turn on your mic, you can type PPP to thank Professor Wang for arranging this exciting session. And I'm going to just give you a little bit of my background. If you want to put me on speaker, make my visual big, you will be able to see that this is my history. My first job was in DBS Bank after engineering, and I went on to do my master's in finance at Lancaster University, and I tried to look for a job. Unfortunately, there's no job in London. So I thought, Asia is booming. Let me come back. And because I ran out of money, and you know, London is expensive, so I came back to Singapore. Things didn't turn out well because I met with the Asian financial crisis, which is what you are facing now with the COVID. So what I did was I changed tack. Initially, I wanted to do front office role. I said that because of the financial crisis in Asia, let me go and look for a risk management role. And very fortunately, I got a chance to work in Standard Chartered Bank. And after 4 years in Standard Chartered Bank, I went on to do risk advisory and sales and trading within Citi. And for the last 6 years of my banking career, I was MD at UBS Investment Bank doing investment banking. And of course, me being me, a greedy person, while I was in banking, I set up Institute of Life, which is my training company to help professionals, young professionals, to become successful at work and in life. I also go around the world to give talks together with CFA Institute. And I write on LinkedIn, as Professor Wang mentioned. I also write for e-financial career. So I'm also a guest lecturer for Queens at the Beijing program. It's a joint program with Renmin University. It's a fantastic program, great students, and it's conducted in English because we want to prepare the students to be able to connect East and West. And with that, I like to share my screen using my iPad. Let me share that. Share my screen using iPad. There you go. Okay, now you can see me and my slides. So today we're going to talk about Asia's high demand for Chinese-speaking finance professionals from North America. How do we know there is demand? So if you look at the news down here, say Nikkei Asia, last year it reported that fluency in Mandarin becomes key to Hong Kong bankers' success. And Hong Kong's banker actually service mainland client. E-Financial Career, a job portal, also say it is super challenging. Banks in Singapore are struggling to hire speakers, Mandarin speakers. So you can see Singapore, Hong Kong are struggling because it's not easy to find people who can connect East and West. And same for mainland as well. Mainland, of course, we get a lot of Mandarin speakers, but we need them to understand the Western culture and also some of the products. If you look at down here, 2/3 of the client-facing position are in areas such as equity, asset management, research, advisory, all requires Mandarin speakers, compared to 40% 4 years ago. So with this, I go to China a lot. So as you can see, you know, bankers, we don't have time. So we were just between clients meeting, I'll just eat my food. This is Shen Jian Bao that I bought along the street. You need to know some Mandarin before you can order Shen Jian Bao along the street. But more importantly, we need to bring our Chinese client to go to US for listing, New York Stock Exchange. That means we need people who understand US listing rules. We need to understand the investor base in the US. And of course, we need to know who our customers are, and we must be able to communicate with them. So today I want to share with you 6 things that can help you get a job and also have a better picture of what working in the finance sector is like in Asia. Number 1, we need to develop a very strong cultural awareness. of both East and West. So I have a client, a shipping client. It's a state-owned enterprise in China. And they want to buy US company. So my job is to know what they want and then present it to my colleagues in the US so that my colleagues can find a target. So we identify a shipping leasing client in the US as a target. And you know that when I speak to my US colleagues, they speak sometimes like the movie, The Suit, using a lot of sports analogy. The ball is in their court. So, I'm not used to that at the beginning, but now I'm beginning to. It's a slam dunk, or you drop your ball. Sometimes colleagues, if we didn't do our job properly, they'll say, hey, Eric, you drop your ball. Of course, banking is also a very cutthroat business. We work together, but also sometimes we fight internally, externally with the clients. If you watch the Netflix TV series, The Suit, you understand what banking is like. But on the China side, I need to entertain the customer. I also need to understand sitting arrangement. Where do I position the customers? So if I'm the host, I could be sitting here. Then I position my most important guest, the CEO. Then the CFO on my left. So that's why they say that, so this is left and right. And I position my second, so my colleagues could be from the M&A team across me. This is one arrangement. There's another arrangement. If this client is so important, I usually get my most senior client to sit in the head seat. Then I will sit here. This will be me, Eric Sin. And then my M&A colleague and my analyst will sit here. My analyst is in charge of ordering the food. So you know that this is a very important position. This is called the right-hand man. As a banker, we want to be the right-hand man of our client so that they share with us their problems and then we can help them resolve that problem. But to help them resolve that problem, we first need to understand banking, our setup. And if you understand this, you have a higher chance to find out which role and which type of institution is suitable for you in Asia. Let me start with IBD, Investment Banking Division. It is one of the jobs that you can do. So it has coverage and product. So I sometimes act as a product because at the MD level, I can be product guy or I can be the coverage guy. So it's for just now that M&A trade where I brought a Chinese shipping client to go to the US to buy a container leasing company. My role is a China coverage. What do I need to do? Because we are buying China container leasing company, I need to work with my US sector colleague, transport. We call them industrial. So this is my US colleague. This is when I need to prepare some sports analogy when I speak with him. I also need to work with the product team, the M&A team, to help me run the process. Because they are listed company, we need to know the listing rules before we acquire the client. So as you can see, this is, I need to know US. My colleague, M&A, she's based in Hong Kong, but she's British. And my client is here in China. it's a state-owned enterprise. So they have an office in Hong Kong and their headquarters is in Shanghai. So what kind of people do we need to be able to put this together? You need to be the connector between East and West. And let me just go on to say that, let me show you the various institutions. Investment banking is only one type of job. There are still many jobs that require people who are educated in the US or who are currently in the US looking to come back to Asia. We have private banks. Because private banks, you need to cover Chinese client, of course, you need to know their culture. But at the same time, you need to show them. You need to show them what's happening in the market. That means you need to be able to find out international financial markets trend. And with that, you need to speak with international colleagues. So that is one area that you can go to. The other area is security houses. So security houses could be the Guotai Junan, Zhongxing, Haitong, and China Merchant Bank International is also hiring. I just got a message from my friend from China Merchant Bank. I'm just going to put down the link. I just put in the chat. If you go to the chat, you can see China Merchant Bank. They are hiring people who can speak good English, educated in North America, and then want to have a job in Asia. So you can go for it. I think the due date is quite soon, so do take a look. So you have China security houses, asset management. They love to have you because the money comes from Asia, but they're investing internationally everywhere. Of course, you got a commercial bank like Citi, JP Morgan in Asia, and they are also setting up their security and investment bank. Number 3 is to be able to prepare a pitch book. So whichever bank you go to, whichever job you want to do, if you know how to prepare a pitch book, you will be one step ahead of the other candidates. So what is a pitch book like? For example, if we want to bring a client to acquire another target, in this case, a Hong Kong exchange acquiring London Metal Exchange, we need to prepare. We need to help the client prepare. So this is a page from the pitch book. You can see the logo is Hong Kong Exchange, but this is prepared by the investment bank who has been appointed as the buy-side financial advisor. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of this. You need to know the price, the listing price, or cash, and also understand how a bank put this together. So there's a new bank facility from CDB, Deutsche, HSBC, and UBS. So this belongs to the leverage finance team. And how do we repay the loan after 1 year? The loan is usually very short. Through a combination of equity and bond issuance, we will have ECM and DCM. That means we need to speak to leverage finance team, ECM team. ECM is equity capital market, and then DCM is debt capital market. In addition to M&A team. If you can put all this together, you'll get the job done. Number 4 is, how do we stand out? How do we stand out now that it's so competitive? There are many students, right? There are many students who can speak Mandarin, who can also understand how to entertain the customers. How do we stand out? This is very key. a lot of time when I ask a finance professional, I say, who are you? I'm a finance professional. It's very one-dimensional. They see themselves as a finance person or a corporate finance person. I want to show you this combo meal from McDonald's. We should not be one-dimensional. We should be multi-skills, multi-interest. So for me, when I first started, because I graduated from engineering, my burger, which is my core specialization, is engineering. And I joined banking. I joined DBS Bank to sell foreign exchange. So French fries was my finance. So finance is my French fries. And I love programming. So it's my interest. Code is interest. So now down here is, this is your core specialization. This is your secondary specialization. And this is your interest, your code. So when I first started out, engineering was my core. Finance was my secondary specialization, and programming was my interest. And that got me into the job. After about 2-3 years, I combined finance and engineering. I went to Citi to focus on financial engineering. And over time, I also took an interest to do sales, because it's not good just to come up with the solution. You need to sell the solution. So selling became my secondary specialization. Then my interest is China. I was very interested in the Chinese business culture, Chinese history, philosophy. And then I requested Citi in 2005 to send me to Shanghai. So I did an internal transfer from Singapore to Shanghai. And I built a team. And I also witnessed in 2005, July, I witnessed the unpack of the dollar against the RMB from 8.28 to 7.11. So that built my career as an international banker. Previously, I was just based in Singapore, and now, I can cover also China. And then I use my knowledge of China and Chinese client to build my career in investment banking. Because in investment bank, more than half of our revenue comes from China or Chinese client. So investment banking became my core specialization. Then I was traveling to China almost every other week to entertain the client, to find out their problems, and also to find new customers. I also got an interest in teaching. So I teach my client, I teach my colleagues. Then after a while, Professor Wang, through his friend in Citi, found me. I met him, and he invited me to be a guest lecturer at Queen's. So now I'm a lecturer. That's my core specialization. And my secondary specialization is career and life. So on top of teaching investment banking, I'm also teaching my students career skills. How do you advance your career? How do you win your IPO? And also life skills. How do you balance work and life? Finally, I got an interest in Zoom. That's why now I'm able to use my iPad to share screen with you and write on it. Hopefully this will give you a better engagement. So if you like any of this, or you have any question, just feel free to type in the chat. Can I have a show? I mean, just type in the chat. What is your biggest interest in Asia? which sector, which type of banks. Is it investment banking, private banking, sales and trading? If you type it out, it will be easy for me to later understand what you like or which country. Do you want to work in Hong Kong, Singapore, mainland? So Richard down here, I just looking at the chat. Richard say sales and trading in China. Yeah, Richard Liu. Deutsche Bank in China, private banking. Stella is sales and investment banking. Thank you. These are all fantastic. And also credit and market risk. I was in market risk for 4 years, so I will know that area. Equity product structuring, I also did that. And financial advisory. This is Jia Chen, fantastic. And Ronald Liu, growth area fintech. Yes, fintech, especially Singapore, Hong Kong, really developed. And you, of course, in China, the payment system is the most advanced in the world. So if you want to go with that, that will be awesome. Barry He, sales and trading, Hong Kong. So I was in half my career in sales and trading, half my career in investment bank. And I would say half my career in Shanghai and Hong Kong. So I do know about that. So later on, if you have any question, just type in the chat and I'll try to answer more and more of it. Yeah. Risk management as well is a good area, credit risk and market risk. So be a combo specialist. Yeah, Hughie, private bank, Singapore or China. Welcome. Singapore is fantastic. A lot of Chinese money are coming here now. Sorry, you can hear some background noise. That is the fogging for mosquito down here. It will be over in 2-3 minutes. Just bear with me for that. Let me continue. So be a combo specialist. That means if you want to come to Singapore, not only you speak Mandarin, but show a bit of interest of the Singapore culture, so that when the hiring manager will know that you can work in Singapore, because when you are handling Chinese client, you need to also show the Chinese client something about Singapore. For example, how to set up a trust in Singapore. And also schooling for the kids. Let me see, there's a question, I think, in the M&A, sorry, in the Q&A. So there is I am at the broking house doing sales and trading. Do you think I'm able to do M&A? Yes, you will be. So I will answer that in a bit. Let me continue with my presentation. Number 5, okay, good. I think the fogging has gone away. So number 5 is to build your online presence. Because a lot of HR and search firm, they are looking at you, they want to find you. So they expect you to be online. Only when you're online, they can find you. So even if you want to work in the mainland, look at this. Even a job in Beijing, they advertise on LinkedIn and they advertise in English because they want to know whether you can speak English and they are using LinkedIn. So this is AIIB. Is one of the agency bank, or what we call the policy bank, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. They have been looking for people with international outlook. And just now, I sent the link I'll send again the CMBI one, China Merchant Bank. So China Merchant Bank, international in Hong Kong, they have sales and trading. They have also investment bank. They are also looking for people who with international outlook and then can speak Mandarin. So you can follow me on LinkedIn. Then you can also get to know some of my connection, because my connection are fellow bankers. They could be working in Deutsche, Credit Suisse. You can also connect with them to understand how is it like working in those banks. And a lot of, within my network, there are private bankers, investment bankers. Yeah. And also, I also have risk manager. I also have a private equity connection. So beside that, you should also plan your post on your WeChat so that people look at you favorably. Number one, don't waste your name. There was one of my friends working for a bulge bracket investment bank. One day came to me to say that, hey, Eric, can you introduce us one junior analyst? So I remember I have one student, his name is Xu Yuehong. And he's fantastic. He can speak both languages really well. Socially very savvy, fantastic social skills. So I remember we connected on WeChat several years ago. And I think he's graduating soon. So I searched for him. I tried to search for Xu Yuehong. I couldn't find him. So since I couldn't find him, then I remember there's another person, a female student, also very good. So I introduced my female student to my friend. She went for interview. Within a week, she got an offer, really, really quick. And my friend was really happy. Then about a month later, I realized actually Xu Yuehong is not Xu Yuehong. Xu Yuehong is Yi Pianhai. So I couldn't remember his nickname on WeChat. But because of that, he may have lost an opportunity to work for one of the best investment banks. So my advice is try to use your real name on WeChat, because if you're connected with senior people, they may not remember your nickname. And sometimes, right, we don't put our photo as well. So for me, it's very clear. Photo and a name, and also I tell people what I do. So if you've forgotten who I am, you can see this Renmin University, because that's where I go to teach for Queen's University. Yeah. And so for my WeChat is currently full. So what I've done is I've created my 公众号, my public account. So this public account, you will be able to read my articles. If you can just follow 人生学院 on your WeChat, you will be able to read some of my articles to give you advice on how to advance your career and how to get a job. I'm also on Weibo. So I work with LinkedIn. So this is 职场100问 on Weibo. There's a video so you can watch on how to get into banking. So this is my Weibo's name if you want to take it down. So that's online presence. Make sure you have them and let the HR look for you, and they can find you. And also sometimes after interview, the HR may also look at your WeChat to know what kind of person you are. So make sure you curate. So what I do is I have monthly posts, and I will review my posts for the last 3 to 4 years, and I'll delete those not relevant ones. So that always there are just 20 to 30 posts for people to see who you are, not 100 over posts. But it's also not good, not for people to see. You know, some people just show only 3 days, and a lot of time there's nothing to show. Then people feel like you're hiding from them, and then that doesn't build trust. Number 6, which is the last point, build your network. It is very key you build your network in Asia, and you build your network internally. So the networking between East and the West is a bit different. On the left, on the blue side, is the Western style of networking. Usually the relationship is 1-to-1 or 1 to a few, whereas Chinese way of networking is really everywhere, and then you introduce friends and friends. So do try to introduce your network to each other. You can introduce your senior to your junior, your contacts in China to your contact in the US. This will help you become a connector, and opportunities can come through your network. Seldom opportunities come through advertisement because there will be just too many people applying. So this is how we network internally. Every Friday, 5 p.m., we'll have a pizza and a drink session for all the bankers. So this is how internally, and it's very key because when we hire, we want to know the person can work with other team members. Just now, if you remember my shipping example, I need to work with M&A team. I need to work with US sector team. So if I'm not a team player, I won't be able to do that. And not just team player, but you need to have good relationship. And how about building with your client? So this is what I do to build relationship with my client. I need to drink a lot of baijiu, okay? And I need to take in their secondhand smoke. Fortunately, the days are over, okay? Clients no longer request us to drink a lot of baijiu. If not, my boss has to prepare a liver for me after, at the end of my stint in Shanghai. So these days, I find that clients are not so comfortable drinking a lot of Chinese liqueur. With that, thank you very much. I would like to now go into the Q&A, and thank you for having me. So if you enjoy this session, just say something on the chat. And if you have any question, just pop into the Q&A session over there. So while you are, hey, Tanya, thank you for joining us. So I have Tanya Chan, you can see her. She is the HR manager for China Merchant Bank International, based out of Hong Kong. Very keen to hire talented fresh graduate. You can see her program. While you are thinking about your question, while you are popping your question, and then I know Prof. Wang has got maybe preparing a few questions, I also want to give you some free resource. I have a newsletter on LinkedIn, which then you can also go and take a look. It's free, you can subscribe. It's a monthly newsletter. I talk about small action. What small action you can take? Is it writing an article? Is it reaching out to one person? Then you will open up your network and then get a job. Or somebody will tell you, hey, who's hiring? For example, like today, could be a friend told you about today's session. You come, you attended, and you heard about China Merchant Bank, and you got to know Tanya, and then you got a job. So a small action of you just joining today's session organized by Prof. Wang, you already got a job. So sometimes it's not the big thing that we need to do. Sometimes it's just a small thing that we do. And my book is available on Amazon. If you want to get it, it's there. I'll just put in the link for you. Yeah. And if you want to know, if you want to be an expert, the area that is currently very much in need in Asia is debt restructuring, because you know that there's some default in the real estate space. Once there is default, we will then need to restructure them. We then need to renegotiate. And there is no book better than Prof. Wang's book on corporate financial distress, restructuring, and bankruptcy. So that can give you an advantage over other students, because most people would not learn about this. Yeah, this is my contact. And feel free to follow me on LinkedIn and also on Weibo, and also my 公众号. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Eric, for sharing this excellent session. And I really appreciate also you are promoting my book as well. Thank you.
I'm not promoting your book. I actually want the students to pick up the most important skill that they need now, which is credit skills and helping to do restructuring, because there is a lot of money to be made during this time in that space.
Yeah,
Thank
totally
you.
agree. Totally agree. Thank you. And today we have actually 2 students joining from the Queen's Global China Connection Club. And
Sure.
that's Kathy Mao and Ethan Dell. They have some questions they want to ask you if they can, and then we'll go to the Q&A just briefly after that.
Sure. I unshare my screen so you can see me big and clear.
Okay.
Go
So,
ahead,
Kathy,
and
yeah.
Ethan.
Hi, Eric. Thank you so much for that amazing lecture. I really enjoyed it. It was really engaging and informative. So in terms of question, I'm just wondering, in addition to the technical skills, what are some soft skills you think we should have to successfully break into the Asian finance industry?
Sure. Number one is we need people who can build relationship very quickly and trust. Because when we hire a junior analyst, it's not just to do the pitch book, but also sometimes we need them to arrange client meeting. I say, okay, arrange a meeting with the CFO. So small things like that, you think it's just to pick up a phone call and call the CFO. A lot of Chinese clients, right? If you're too junior, they don't pick up your phone. They don't, they don't bother. So how can you reach out to a senior person? And for the senior bankers, we don't have time. This is your job to book a meeting. You are using the bank's name. You are using my name. So it's up to you to link up with the junior people, or maybe buy some gift to the secretary to know where the CFO is traveling to, or where the CEO is traveling to. And sometimes we already agreed. So for example, we have a meeting, CEO or chairman and I already agreed we're going to meet next month. Then we leave it to the junior to do that. So you need to choose the restaurant. You need to invite the right people. If sometimes the client say, I don't want to see too many people, I only want to see Eric and 2 more persons. Or if this client say, I want to see the big team, I want to see the whole investment bank team, then you need to bring this message and you need to read between the lines. And sometimes you have to coordinate between US and China as well. So your cultural awareness, like I mentioned, is going to be super key. Thank you for asking.
Thank you so much.
I could go ahead and ask a question now. So the question I was going to ask was just, does attending a university in Asia kind of have a great bearings on individuals' ability to break into the Asian finance scene? Maybe compare that to like the US or Canada.
Yeah. So in the past, when you have a degree from the US or Canada, it seems to be like the way to go. But now we increasingly want people who have spent time in Asia. Say, for example, your first degree is in Canada. Then if you do a master's out of Beijing or in Hong Kong, it will be useful, because we want to see people who are connected locally as well. Because I've seen people who spent a long time overseas, a long time in the US or in North America, and when they come back, their thinking haven't caught up, because China is changing very quickly. So if you want to increase your chance of looking for a job, spend a year in China and look for a job while you are in China. Put out your connection, build up your network. That will be, I think, a good strategy to have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Eric. So I think there are a few questions raised in the Q&A, and also someone else raised a question in the chat function. So I'll have you address these questions, and then we can leave the last 3-4 minutes. I will announce the winners of today's raffle. So we'll see who gets your book and also my book. We'll announce that in the last 3 minutes.
Sure. So I can see now I'm looking at the chat, the Q&A. There's an anonymous attendee. I'm at the broking house doing sales and trading job. Do you think I'm able to do M&A? Just now the question. Yes, I did sales and trading for the first half of my career, and I moved to investment bank and I did M&A. But think about, what are you bringing to the table? For me, what I bring to the M&A table, because the client that I got for M&A is the client that I got from sales and trading. So when I was doing sales and trading, I developed good relationship with my Chinese client. And I also know their chairman and CEO. So when I moved to investment banking, I call up the chairman and the CEO to say that, hey, I moved here now. If you got any M&A corporate finance need, just let me know. Of course, it's not immediate, but over 2-3 years, they come to me. And also, when you got sales and trading skills, you can apply them in investment banking. So that's what I did. So I add my swap solution, risk management solution on top of fundraising. So I have brought one client to Switzerland to raise Swiss franc, and I added a dollar Swiss franc swap to make it into US dollars. And that was the first institution, first company from China ever to raise money in the Swiss franc bond market. Yeah. So I hope I answer your question. Please go for it if you want. Dominic Chow, how is it, hi Eric, how is the PE scene like from your perspective in Asia? It is as cutthroat as people made out to be, given the highly weekly work hours compared to IB intensity. Yeah, IB of course is intensive. IB you expect to work 12 hours a day, so on average about 60 hours a week. If there is a deal, yeah, maybe 70 hours. 100 hours is very, very rare. So that people like to talk about it on internet to say how difficult it is, but very rarely we reach 70 or 80 hours, right? There's a bit of time for rest. PE, I think, is a bit better. If you can get in, don't worry about the time. You are young, go for it. You know, work as hard as you can for the first 2 years, build a name, make some money. Then you can think about relaxing, like what I do. You know, now I'm no longer in banking. I'm enjoying my life, cooperating with Prof. Wang to educate the next generation of bankers. Yeah. So now is the time for you to work as hard as you can. Helen Wang, another question. I was wondering how best to bring our Mandarin proficiency to a professional level from a conversational level. The best way, okay, there are 2 things that you can do. Number 1 is take hold of a glossary between the Chinese and English terms for financial terms. For example, I want to say asset and liability. So make sure you know how to say that. So there are about 1,000 words. Try to get hold of that and choose 100 words that you think you are likely to use. So make sure you can know, like when I say industrial group, just now I say that I went to US to help my client acquire a company. So what is sector team for industrial sector team? So these are terms that are fixed, then you can memorize them. So sector means 行业组, Then industrial is 工业组. These are terms that once you learn one time, you remember for a very long time. So do that. I used to have that. You can search around on the internet. I think Hong Kong MA produced that, or some banks also produce that type of glossary. The second thing you can do is I write both in English and Chinese. You can come to my LinkedIn and comment in Chinese. As you write in Chinese, your thinking will become more professional because you can do a translation first and then you write, and that's how you will learn. That's great. That is good. Now I have another one. Lucy, do you have some official account recommended for news? Yeah, for news, I follow Financial Times mostly. So if you can read Financial Times, both the English and the Chinese version. Yeah, that will make you more international. Of course, if you want, China is Caixin. Yeah, subscribe to Caixin from China. You will get more news, more local news. Next question. Richard say, so I'm a Canadian born Chinese. I work in retail banking for TD. I've spent the past 3 years in fintech software sales. What's career path do you think best for me in Asia? So you are great in sales. You know fintech. Come and look at fintech. There are digital banks now. So there are 4 digital banks in Singapore. So come and join them. And also some of them are supported by Chinese investor. They would need somebody who knows China, and they need somebody who knows fintech, and they also want somebody in sales. So fintech scene in Singapore, in Hong Kong are very key, and there is a lack of tech people. So do give it a try, and maybe you can connect with Eugene Liang from Standard Chartered Bank. I will just type his name, Eugene Liang from Standard Chartered Bank. Okay, you can look out for him on LinkedIn. Search for him and connect with him. Thank you, Richard. Chris, thank you for the presentation. I was wondering what you think will be the best way for a second-year students to obtain the third-year investment bank summer intern in Beijing who will be attending a Smith baking program next year, and how to develop that initial network. Yes. This get to know Tanya, all right, who was in the chat, and also start connecting, be active on LinkedIn, because a lot of people, they are first-year analysts or second-year analysts. They will be able to give you information about whether their bank is hiring or not. So it's really network. Then understanding and learn how to prepare a pitch book. Once you know how to prepare a pitch book, a lot of banks will want to hire you. Yeah. The last question before I hand over back to Prof. Wang, Barry, can you share your experience transiting from risk management to investment banking structuring? Yeah. So as the risk manager, I talk to the traders a lot. I talk to the sales. So I learned how front office is like. And when I moved to investment bank, I didn't go client facing. I switched as a risk advisory. That means I support the salespeople in terms of structuring and in terms of designing the product. So you can do that because you can use your quantitative skills. And then now, after that, once you get to front office, then you can move to investment bank. So it's going to be a 2 or 3 step process. So for me, I use my SWOT, derivative structuring ideas, and add value to my investment bank colleagues. Thank you for asking, Barry. I think that's all the time we have for Q&A. I'll hand over to Prof. Wang. Prof? Yeah, on mute, Prof. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Eric, for taking the time to answer all the questions. I know people are still typing up new questions, but we're really running out of time. And so please feel free to connect with Eric through the many channels he already put up earlier. Now we're coming to the end of this presentation, but also very exciting time because 2 participants have been randomly selected to be winners of these 2 books. And there they are. So Helen Wang, congrats on you getting Small Actions. And Andy Ong for getting my book. I'm not sure this is the Andy I taught a few years ago in my commerce program, but I definitely remember there was Andy Ong in the commerce second year program I taught. If you are, type it up. It was good to see you here. If not, thank you for attending, of course, regardless. So yeah, our program office will be in touch directly with 2 of you to arrange a delivery of these books. And just before we wrap up, I want to mention again, these books are provided on behalf of the Master of Finance Beijing program. And so if you're interested in studying in Beijing for a year, getting exposure, network, I got to say that, the Smith Alumni China chapter now has hundreds of members. They host many events, actually, the studying tour, social events, networking, and so on. So please, if you are part of Smith or Queen's families, please feel to join them directly. So that's pretty much, I think, today for this excellent presentation by Eric. I want to thank you again on behalf of Smith and also Queen's and also the Master Finance Program.
Thank you for having me. I will share more when I teach at the Masters in Finance program in Beijing. So today is to give you a glimpse of what our program is.
Yeah, let's thank
for coming today.
all attendees for being so interactive today. Thank you all for attending.
Yes, and also thank you, from China Merchant Bank International, heading up the HR over there. Thank you for coming.
Okay, I'll see you next time.